All right, for today's weekly vocabulary review, we're going to be looking at some spooky seasonal vocabulary. So think words that might show up in like a scary short story that you might read in a class or like a scary movie or something like that. You may know some of these words. They might be kind of familiar to you. Some of them you might not have seen before. Let's go ahead and dive into those words. Our 10 terms for this week's list start out with word number 1, vermin. Number 2, horror. Number 3, chatter. Number 4, eerie. Number 5, haunt. Number 6, superstition. Number 7, phobia. Number 8, cryptic. Number 9, translucent. And number 10, supernatural. Let's go ahead and look at our first word, that word being word number 1, vermin. The definition of vermin are that they are wild animals that are believed to be harmful to crops and sometimes people. These are animals that can carry disease like rodents. Most of the time when you see somebody referring to vermin, they're referring to mice, rats, things like that, which are probably most notorious for carrying diseases. Let's go ahead and look at word number 2. Word number 2 is horror. Horror means an intense or profound fear. Think like this is the next level. It's not just you're scared of something. You are terrified. You are horrified. That's horror. The Latin means to tremble when you take horror, the first 4 of that word. Some sample words, of course, horrible, horrific, horrors. It says, great horror films challenge social norms, critiquing modern life by turning everyday experiences into waking nightmares. It says, we all have little fears. Something that is horrifying or that brings you horror is a big fear. Let's go ahead and look at term number 3. Term number 3 is chatter. And chatter means teeth clicking together from cold or fear, as in chattering, or to talk rapidly about trivial or not important matters. As we're kind of looking at the scary form of this, we're thinking like teeth chattering from fear. You saw something or heard something that made you absolutely terrified and your teeth begin chattering. That's the type that I'd like you to keep in mind for this list. But it can also mean to talk rapidly with friends, to just chatter, things that don't really matter. You're just having a quick conversation. Word number 4 is eerie. Something that is eerie has to do with something spooky or supernatural. It's mysterious. It says it's hard to tell, but the eerie textures, including the sounds of muffled footprints, suggest a grim walk through a moonlit graveyard. It says Halloween is the most eerie holiday. That is, it's the holiday that involves creepy, spooky, or supernatural elements. Anything that would scare you in a horror movie is probably something you could say is eerie. So remember that word. Next up, we have the word haunt. To haunt is to follow stealthily or pursue, like a ghost, or to frequent a place, which is probably the definition we're going to think of the most. It's to go there a lot. When we think of a haunted house, we're thinking of a house that has lots of ghosts that frequent it, ghosts that stay there, ghosts that reside there. You probably don't want to be in that house for very long. It says if scares your style, there's an assortment of haunted attractions to get you screaming. This word has had an interesting journey, much of which were not really scary. Originally, to haunt somewhere mostly just meant to do things regularly. If you haunted the arcade, you were always at the arcade playing video games. You stayed there all the time. But most of the time when we think of it, we're thinking about like ghosts staying at a place. They're unwelcome. They're haunting a house. Let's go ahead and move to word number 6. Word number 6 is superstition. These are widely held but unjustified beliefs in supernatural things leading to certain consequences of an action or event. Basically, if you've heard like certain superstitions like walking under a ladder being unlucky, or breaking a mirror, or running into a black cat, or something like that, you would say that those are superstitions. They're not actually based in any relevant data or anything like that. It's just things that have been passed down, and they say if you do this, you'll have bad luck, or you'll be cursed, or something like that. Keep in mind that those are superstitions. Moving on to word number 7. Word number 7 you've probably heard before too. Phobia is the word, and it is an extreme or irrational fear or aversion to something. It comes from the Greek prefix PHOB, phobe, and sample words being phobia, all the different kinds of phobia. You see some examples here. People who might be afraid to be around water could have hydrophobia. People that are afraid of the sight of blood would have hemophobia. You hear of arachnophobia if people are afraid of spiders, aerophobia if they're afraid of being on planes. There's lots of different fears that people have. There's lots of different people that try to work through those fears and get it to where they can be around those things. But phobias are a thing. It means to be extremely afraid or scared of something, even things that might be parts of everyday life. Moving right along, we've reached word number 8. Word number 8 is cryptic. Something that is cryptic has a meaning that is mysterious or obscure. To be cryptic is to be mysterious. So you could say something like a puzzle has a cryptic solution. Nobody's really sure what the solution is. But oftentimes you'll see it associated with like scary things this time of year. Cryptic meanings, words written on the wall, things like that. Crypt is the word that you're probably used to seeing from there, and in the Greek it means to hide. Moving on to word number 9. Word number 9 is translucent. To be translucent is to allow light but not detailed shapes to pass through. To be semi-transparent. If you think translucent, you're probably thinking of like a ghost. The ghost is translucent. You can kind of see through the ghost to the other side because it is translucent. It allows light through. Next up, the word is supernatural. Something that is supernatural is not able to be explained by physical laws. So if you see a ghost, we don't have physical laws that can explain why the ghost is there. It's something supernatural. It was hard to believe the tourists couldn't see the supernatural storm brewing, but they didn't give any hint that anything was wrong. Many Halloween costumes and stories focus on the supernatural, which is kind of a strange word. Does it mean something is all natural but also super duper? Not exactly. Supernatural things are just things that are unnatural. They're not real. Monsters such as werewolves and vampires are examples of the supernatural. So are other things. They're not real. They don't exist outside of fiction and things like that. So they are supernatural. They're beyond the physical or beyond the natural. All right, those are our 10 terms for this week. Good luck reviewing those. You might have some questions to answer on these. Feel free to review these terms as you go and learn these words this week. And thank you for participating.